I am Sarah Chang. I'm the VP of Sales for Enterprise Sales at Yelp, and I'm really excited to have Lisa and Alicia here. Alicia here today. Sorry, your names are going to get. Yeah, Alicia and Alyssa is running a little bit behind in the rain. So
I got a feeling, being that she works for BP, that maybe she ran out of gas. I'm not sure. No?
So once she gets gas, she'll be here, and we'll welcome her. But we'll get started for the sake of time. And so before we get into the heart of the content, we thought it would be great to do some rapid fire questions. So what are you binge watching? What is on your playlist? And your favorite New York landmark?
Okay, what am I binge watching? Slow Horses. If you haven't watched it, it's a little, funnily enough, it's a little bit slow in the beginning, but stick with it. Very, very good. What's on my playlist? Depends on my mood, but normally something like Coldplay, Sky Full of Stars will lift me up. So today would definitely be one of those days with this miserable weather. And what my favorite landmark is, bearing in mind what we're talking about today, I would say the Fearless Girl. New York. You know, the little girl holding back the bull?
Oh,
you know, just like we hold back the bull every day.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. There's a new landmark I need to find. Okay, great. Oh, you guys need to share, yeah.
I have been watching High Potential, if anyone has seen it. It's a great, really campy show. The listening, I'm pretty cliche here, but it's Taylor Swift, Life of a Showgirl. Controversially, I guess, because apparently it's the worst album ever known to man, according to the press, if anyone has heard it. And then landmark, I'm going to say it's Central Park. I just love that there's like this giant park in the middle of Manhattan. And a pro tip for anyone who's visiting, if you go to the top of the Met, there's an amazing bar where you can see the entire park and all of Lower Manhattan together, which is really cool.
Ooh, I love the pro tip. Okay, I've got two different landmarks. All right, I've been to Central Park, but not the bar. I like that. Well, we're in for a very insightful conversation today. What's great is we have some iconic brands from different sectors, but what makes this very unique is that all of these women leaders come from companies that have a high representation of female executives. So that means they're really good at bringing their authentic self. So with that, I would love for you guys to do a quick introduction of who you are and what you do.
I am Lisa Giacosa, and I have lots of different hats. But right now, I am the global group client lead for a number of big global brands like Yum, LinkedIn, Miller, a few others. And I'm also Chief Transformation Officer at Spark, which is really exciting because, you know, when everybody's talking about AI, it's about thinking about the practical ways that we can actually make those things work for us, and how we can make that work every day to make our clients' businesses drive more revenue. So really exciting.
And I'm Alicia Kornreich. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of Schoolhouse and Food 52. So I run our marketing teams, our customer engagement teams. I run product design, merchandising, trade sales, wholesale sales, all of that. I've been in commerce for over 15 years, but this is the first time I've also worked for a company that's grounded in content as well. We're a company that a customer comes to us to learn, to watch a series, to watch a show. Our content is really well known on Food 52, but the unique thing is our customer also has their credit card out ready to buy something. They really trust our recommendations, and we're a commerce engine that also has a really strong commerce tie. So it's an exciting role to play, a commercial role that has a media or a content focus as well.
Yeah, that's great. So kind of tying back to the female leadership, I think your companies are really transforming what diversity looks like. Spark has, can you guys hear me okay? 8 out of 9 of the executive leadership is female. And then Schoolhouse is 4 out of 5, but it's female founded, correct?
It's also female founded,
yeah.
2 female founders.
Yeah, so obviously bringing that female view into leadership. Can each of you share how that's influenced your leader playbook and the marketing that you do?
Sure. I also have one of my female leaders here, Alexis, our Chief Revenue Officer. So Food 52 is founded by 2 females, and now our CEO, our CRO, our CCO, and our CFO, COO are all female. One thing that I think is super unique is that I think women have a unique ability to kind of take on 300 things at once, to juggle a million things, and men do as well. But I think for women, it's really, you never hear in our company, that's not my job, right? Everybody is so used to picking up a different hat, to looking over and being like, I'm happy to take that on. I'm happy to try and problem solve with you. And I think that's something that's really in a female's DNA, to say like, how can I make this better? How can I reach across the table and work with you? And I'm also willing to take on this role, this role, this role, this role, and try to make everything cohesive and better. And that's something that our leaders talk about. That's something that we want our team members to talk about. And we are still somewhat of a startup at Food 52, at Schoolhouse. And so for us, it's really get your hands dirty, get in there, learn how to do every single thing, and everything should be your job to make the company better. And I think that's something that's very uniquely female, and that's really special to us, to our leadership, and to our culture. The other thing that I think is super unique, at least for our leadership team, and I speak for me and Alexis in this especially, we really have hard conversations. I know a lot of the times you hear that like women can be more sensitive, but I actually think that we are super open to criticism and learning how we can do things better. And so for us, like, we always go into our meetings saying like, this is business first. Like, how do we make the business better? Not what did we do wrong today, but what can the business do better? It's kind of like taking the personal aspect out of it.
Less ego.
Exactly. And I think that's something, male, female, whatever you are, I think that's something super important to get behind, of like, work is work. There shouldn't be ego behind it. There shouldn't be this like, what did I do wrong? It's like, what can I do better? What can we all do better? And that's something we talk about a lot. We're a commerce business. We're a content business. There are days where we're like, we wake up and we're like, how did we shit the bed so badly today? But to be honest, like, we need to have that conversation, and we need to be able to stand up and say like, this is my fault. Like, how do I do a better job tomorrow? And I think as a female, it's hard to say that, it's hard to own that, but being around so many women leaders, it's easier to have that conversation and to have it bluntly, honestly. Hey.
Yeah, be more authentic.
Welcome.
Alyssa's here.
Hi.
Welcome.
I'm so sorry I'm late.
That's okay. We're glad to have you. Why don't we let you do a quick introduction, and then I'll let you know what the question is.
Sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Callahan. I'm from BP. So the gas company. I think I'm starting to do more events and really trying to bring BP in as a company to take note of. We're doing a lot in digital marketing and brand. That's really exciting. Before BP, I was at L'Oreal, so very different background. I lead marketing for BP, so everything. We have about 8,000 sites and stores in the U.S. We also have convenience brands on the West Coast, and I've been in that role since January, so it's a new role for me, but I'm excited to sell fuel and happy to be here talking about this topic with these powerful women.
Well, welcome. We were just going over the topic of, I mentioned how BP has a long history of female leadership and how that has transformed your leadership playbook and how you go to marketing. So if you're ready to take it, I'll have you go, and then Lisa.
No, of course. And it's funny because I think traditionally we would assume, or my assumption going into BP is it's oil and gas is a male-dominated field. So I was surprised to see really strong female leadership at BP. It's one of the reasons I was drawn to BP. I think at this point in my career, I do seek out organizations with female leadership where I feel like my values will match and align with the company values. So one thing I love about BP, our core values are things like care for others, do the right thing, safety first, and that actually does come through in a lot of the leadership the way that's carried out. So it's surprising to me, but I think something that I'm really enjoying about being there so far.
That's amazing. And Lisa?
I think from my perspective, it's about using the power of your vulnerability. I think that women can be more vulnerable, but guess what? Men have imposter syndrome too. But it's about being able to flip the script on that imposter syndrome and use it as a power. At Spark, we one of our core values is that we're scrappy. We are the spirit of a startup, the soul of a powerhouse, and that scrappiness, even though we're now the biggest media agency in the US, we're still embracing that scrappiness. So rather, like you said, we all muck in, we all roll our sleeves up, get the job done with no ego, and then move on to the next thing. And I think when you bring the power of that together, and you heard from Kelly on the previous panel, it enables us to really think about things very differently and lead from problem solving and delivering for clients' business, rather than thinking about, what does it mean for me? And granting yourself the right to fail and learn from it and fail fast is something that we do regularly.
I think, just one of the things you said that I think our culture and our team really likes, and it sounds like yours does as well, especially being female-led, is your boss knows exactly what you do and how you do it, because they've sat in the trenches with you and they've typed in the data entry, they've keyed everything. Your clients know that you know how to turn on PMAX ads in Google, and I think there's a certain amount of respect for having that hands-on behavior that comes with that scrappiness that is automatically gives your clients, your team, a level of respect that a bigger company or a company that doesn't have that value might not have all the time.
Totally. And when Sarah hired me in, she hired me in to be the head of analytics and insights, which was a very male-dominated category. I came in to manage a team of pretty much 99% males who had genuinely more data experience than I did. But I came at it from a different perspective in terms of how I could solve problems in a different way versus focusing on just the skill sets and thinking about how we could productize, how we could actually make that easier for people to comprehend what we were doing versus looking at, delivering off-the-shelf solutions. So pivoting slightly, thinking differently about what that looked like to make things more understandable, more digestible, and therefore more usable. I think, and then I went into doing what Kelly now does, the Chief Investment Officer, and I think that's something that's really interesting at Publicis and at Spark, is that there's always a different path. My career, I've worked at Kimberly-Clark with that lovely gentleman, and I've done lots of different ways and zigzagged a lot of different ways, and you really do get to build really holistic skills, and that enables you to actually move into more driving business versus just marketing.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to go back to something you said earlier, which reminded me of Likeable Badass, which I know we had the pleasure of, getting the book and going through that. You mentioned that men have imposter syndrome too, and I think that's such an interesting thing for everyone in this room, that we all go through a lot of all of these things, women, men, human beings, and just to plug, Likeable Badass is an amazing book.
Dare we do it? Should we ask everybody? Put your hand up if you have an imposter syndrome now and again. Oh. Keep your hand up if you have incontinence. No, I'm joking. That was an old Kimberly-Clark joke for Chris there.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, go back on script now. Okay, so today's theme centers around how women are shaping the soul of marketing. What does that mean to you guys? I guess we'll go to Alyssa.
I can begin, yeah. And I love that. I was actually thinking on my ride over, we should do a shout out for the men, because it's not necessarily a female characteristic. I think empathy and authenticity. I've had some fantastic men in leadership positions that have really supported me. I think the difference is women, we come together and lift each other up and have become more comfortable expressing that at the table in a corporate setting. So
exactly. I
love that. And shout out to all the men as well. But I think back to your question, I love this topic, and I was actually reflecting on this because I read the title and I said, I love this, the soul of modern marketing. This resonates with me. And then I said, what does this really mean to me? And as I reflected on it, I think the reason I love marketing is I love people, and I love caring for people, and I love bringing joy to other people. And that's something that comes from my soul and my upbringing, and something that I've done my whole life. I think that's something I've stifled at times during my career, because it's not considered to be as business savvy or as strategic, or it can be seen as a weakness. And really, as I've grown in my career, I've brought that back in more and more, and it's actually become a powerful thing that I bring in, because I do really spend time thinking, how are the people on my team feeling? Are they connected to the vision? How does our marketing feel to our consumer? What's the end user experiencing? And that's how my soul comes into my work, because I really care, and that's why I love what I do, because I think great marketing brings great experience, joy, and a pleasurable experience buying a product which drives more value to the business over time. So for me, that's what it is. It's bringing in that piece of what I consider to be part of my soul into my work. And I think what I love is more and more women are comfortable bringing that in a business setting. And that's how we're really shaping the soul of modern marketing.
I love that.
Sure, I'll go. I think, for me, when I hear soul and modern marketing, to me, it's the authenticity and the trust and kind of the truth of what your life is really like. I think, in the past, the trend was really sterile. Perfect imagery, magazine spreads, influencer, pay to play, this 2 million follower count where you would look at this and be like, this could never be me, this could never be my life. With Schoolhouse, with Food 52, we think a lot about access. We think about what is your life actually like? What is your breakfast like? What does that table look like? And how do we market to that person? We're no longer so focused about what the perfection is. We're more focused on what your life actually is at the end from a marketing perspective. And that comes across in our content. Our Food 52 content, you see people having bloopers, people in pajamas in the kitchen, and that has the highest engagement. People want to convert on that. They see it and they're like, oh my gosh, I could get that mixing bowl. Or our brand partners are looking at it and they're like, that looks like someone who I would buy something from. I want to put my product in that shot. We also talk a lot to our actual consumers. We have, for example, at Food 52, we polled our consumers because we weren't seeing conversion on our cutting boards. So we asked our consumers, why aren't you buying these? What are we missing from a cutting board? And so we had 3,000 people write in and say, the cutting board doesn't have a deep enough tranche for the juices to flow. There's no place to put my phone on a cutting board. All of these different things. And so we took it and we developed these cutting boards and we made them. We sold them for $120, which sounds crazy for a cutting board. We've sold out of them 5 times. Don't look on the website. They're still sold out. They're coming back in a couple of weeks. But we just keep producing them because it's from our consumers. So we listen to a lot of what they want, what they see, and what we can react to from them, as opposed to trying to be perfect now. I think it's a very different trend to what it used to be. I think it was Kelly who was sitting up here talking about COVID and the shifts of COVID from a workplace. It's also a shift of COVID from a marketing place. You were sitting home looking at all of this, getting bored with influencer feed after influencer feed. And nowadays, we're really trying to have it be more personal. We want to connect. We want to reach across the table and actually have an engagement with a consumer that's about their life and our life and having a human interaction, as opposed to just being behind a screen, being behind something that's so impersonal. And to me, that's really kind of the soul of marketing, of reaching across and making a personal connection. I joke also, my grandma gave me this book when I got married called The Settlement Cookbook, if anyone's heard of it. It's from 1950. She bought it off eBay, bless her for knowing how to use eBay. But in it, it talks about when you get home, you should be dressed with heels and makeup, waiting for your husband with a drink at the door, and your children should be in a different room because that's proper in the 50s. And that image of perfection was what everyone strived for so long, and nowadays it's come home, there's shoes on the floor, there's laundry on the floor, and how are you making dinner in 10 minutes or less? And that's the recipe page that's most engaged with at Food 52, not the roast for 18 hours that you're gonna make after work, because that's never happening. And so for us, it's really resetting on what's real and having that be what comes first to our consumer in a marketing perspective.
I love that, and I think that concept of done is better than perfect is something that's really real for the pace that we move at today. And AI will help us, of course it will, and it will help us do things that we already know faster, but you have to combine the art and the science and the humanity as well. And I think that that's part and parcel of why women are so successful in a lot of these roles, because not only do we bring it to how we solve for our clients, understanding the consumer, how they might feel, they might think in a different situation, and therefore how we might market to them, but also how our teams think and feel. One of my team the other day said he felt he's seen as a person for the first time in his career. And this guy's been in the industry for 28 years, right? So this was crazy to me to hear that. But this is the sort of thing that I think the listening, not only to the consumers to understand how to do better business, but also to your teams and to help them to develop in the places that they want to get developed, because it's no longer a linear path that you just go straight up in a line. There's so many different places that you can go and different things and different skills that you can acquire. And so for me, the soul is about bringing that humanity back.
The humanity. It's listening and authentic storytelling. That's what you guys just kind of all hit on. So that's amazing, the soul of marketing. Lisa, as the Chief Transformation Officer, you lead your clients through seismic changes. you kind of hit on this on your other question, so maybe there's another, but I don't know, you can reiterate, go further on that example. What's one way female leadership brings unique solutions that influence change?
I'm going to say the ability to pivot on a dime quite quickly is one of those areas that I think that I still see a lot of. I see a lot of problem solving real time. I don't know whether it's because we're built like with this thing that happens to us every month or every 2 weeks, depending on where you're at in your life. We have different combative health issues throughout our life as well. And as someone going through the menopause right now, one of my favorite subjects, if you ever want to talk to me about it. But that's something that's real for the consumers as well, right? And so I think that understanding the ribbon of life and where people are, whether that be, first starting out as interns, knowing how to think about different things. We are very good at teaching people things that happen to you in your career, professionally. We're very good at teaching women what happens when you have a period, when you might get pregnant, but then we don't talk about those other things. And thankfully, we're starting to talk about menopause a bit more. But I do think that that's something that's really critical, that, it shouldn't be a taboo subject. It should be something we consider. And even as we think about how we design offices, we were talking about this the other day in our office. Our office is entirely active work-based, and all the meeting rooms are glass. So if you're having a hot flash, where do you go? To not be seen, right? So I think even that then brings a different element. So as I think about some of the products I'm working with my clients, whether that be an incontinence product or a career-based product or all those sorts of spaces, when you overlay those sorts of insights, it enables you to really understand the human side. And AI is not going to teach you all of that. And one of my favorite clients always says, when it comes to AI, you still hold the pen, right? You tell it what to do. It will make things better for us, but it's not going to be, there's some scary stuff on the TV this morning about the videos and things, but the reality is that it's only going to deliver what we tell it to do. And I liken it very much to the original market mix models, where market mix models, they are regressional analysis, they tell you what you did in the past, right? But it's not going to include all the elements of what you might do in the future. So you can build synthetic audiences. But I was in this circular conversation the other day of a client wanted to build a synthetic audience to test out AI-built creative, and then they wanted based on the synthetic audience's insight, they wanted to build the creative, and then they wanted the synthetic audience to then tell them that the creative worked. Well, where's the human in that, right? Of course we can build that out to test it, but you have to think about those other elements as well. So I think it comes back to the human and the being able to pivot to different spaces.
I love that. And I love the human part of AI. That's great. Alicia, Food 52, I actually met one of your biggest fans last night, and I heard all about Food 52. It's actually Chris's husband.
She'll hook you up with a tote bag, too.
Okay, can I just raise a hand? I'm late to the game. Food 52, who's super fans in the room. Love it. Okay, I just learned so much last night about it. So my question for you is, how do you build a brand that resonates emotionally? Because clearly a lot of people are emotionally connected. And how does bringing a woman impact that journey?
So I'm going to talk about both of them a little bit separately. Food 52 and Schoolhouse are two very different brands owned by the same company. Food 52, I like to say, is like what you put in your home, what's in your shelves, how you live your life. One of the most important things, and the Food 52 fans here will probably be able to speak to it, is it's a community. It's a community of people who want to share their recipes, who want to share what they've learned about cooking. It's people who are we like to call it home cooks. You are not a chef. You do not aspire to be a chef, but you want to learn how to make sourdough. You want to learn how to make butter, and you want to have fun doing it. And so for us, everything we look at is how we engage those people, give them a new skill, give them a product they can't find everywhere else. We are not a big box retailer. We want something that's curated, special, different, that you look at and you're like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. And we look at that with our brand partners too. We also really believe in our values. We want to make everything better than when we left it. Our partners are the same way. We do things, we did a big event with Dollar General about food insecurity. We had people come in and talk about the different ways they can make recipes and healthy food for a lower budget, and how we bring that to the products we sell and how we bring that to the influencers we use, and created a whole ecosystem around that. So really our values go through the community with everything we do. But really for Food 52, it's really about talking to those consumers and making sure they can talk back to us. We do a cookie swap every holiday. If you want to do it, you sign up and someone will literally send you a package of cookies they've baked. We do do gifts, things like that. It's literally a two-way street for our community, which is very different, I think, than most companies. And that's something that our partners see. That's something our consumers come to us because they want to buy something. They want to be engaged with the site, with the things that we sell. For Schoolhouse, it's really about how you set up your home. When we think of Schoolhouse, it's really, what are you coming home to? How do you want your home to look? When you sit at the dining room table, what are the conversations you're going to have? And that's how we shoot it, especially. So when we look at Schoolhouse, we never put people in the shot, you'll notice, because then you can't envision yourself in a shot. That's one of our principles there. So you'll never see a human being in a Schoolhouse shot, but what you will see is like a coffee mug on the table, like someone has just left. The chairs will be pulled out a little bit because you can envision yourself sitting there. So when we think about it, we think about the moments you're gonna have at Schoolhouse and how that plays into it, but we wanna make you feel like you can sit there. So for Schoolhouse, it's really the feeling you get from it, and for Food 52, it's really how we activate that community.
The community aspect, yeah.
And I think being a woman, like, you know, women are really tied to what's in your home. Even nowadays, even with the splitting of chores and all of the studies about women and male responsibilities, women really do carry a lot of the mental load still. They carry a lot of the home activities, the furnishing the home, the birthday presents, the hostess gifts, all of that. And so really a lot of our consumers are women. We do have some male fans, male chefs, male everything, but for us, our end user is mainly women, and our exec team is mainly women, so we're talking to the people who we are as well. And so a lot of it is inspiration from our own lives and what we see when we come home, what we want to see, what we would shop at. You know, sometimes when I look at other furniture brands and it's a $12,000 sofa that's on a beautiful concrete like staircase next to it, and I'm like, this isn't my life. I have 3 kids. I'm not going to have a concrete table. There's going to be dog hair on it tomorrow, and like I can't. I love it, and I wish that could be me. And maybe when I'm 75 and there's no one spilling something on it, I'm not going to cry every night that my golden retriever has peed on the couch, but it's just not my life, right? So it just, that doesn't resonate with me. So I try to pick something that will resonate with me. And there's chaos, right? There's always chaos in everything with us.
More authentic story.
More authentic, yeah. And look, the $12,000 sofa probably resonates with a lot of people, and I aspire to be one of those in my future self.
I love it. Alyssa, I want to get a moment to talk about gas, because it's so intriguing to me. Like, I was so good to learn. It's a lot of women leadership. Can you share an example of where the female perspective has led to the shift in how BP connects with its consumers?
Yeah, and I think it's really fascinating to me, because when I started working for BP, I love the concept of fuel as a product to market, because it's very commodity based. You need it, you have to put it in your car. It seems simple in concept to drive that repeat behavior time after time. And where we're really focused is on when we can't do much with the product to make the product exciting. We say fuel's a neutral purchase, so you don't come home and say, look at my new fuel I put in my car. What can we do to make it fun? So we're focused on the digital experience and the mobile app, and putting features in there that make the experience of putting fuel in your car more fun. So that includes Earnify, which is our new loyalty program. You can start the pump from your phone. You get rewards in real time. There's a lot of surprise and delight. So that is kind of what we do to bring that experience and joy into the fuel shopping experience. And what I think we as women bring into that, when you're launching new technology products and really heavily investing in digital, you're doing a lot of test and learn, and you need to do a lot of kind of fail fast, as well as understanding, is it working for the consumer? So I think, at least what I bring in, I'm very comfortable even if we spend a lot of time building something, but it's not the consumer experience we desired, or we're not getting good feedback on it, we'll pull it back, or we won't roll it out. Or if we test something and it doesn't work, we fail fast. And I really think I get that, as well as the amazing women on my team, from being mothers and parents, because I have to be very resilient to parent, turn that off, come into work, start clean. Most of my mornings are hectic, and I'm still here. So I fail fast and keep going. And I think that's what we need to do in digital, and that's helping us really accelerate what we're able to bring into the experience digitally at BP.
I love that, the resilience. We have 1 minute and 20 seconds. So I'm going to do one quick question for all of you, as will be our last one. What advice would you give other female leaders? or men in this room? You want to go first, Lisa?
I would say take a seat at the table. Don't be afraid to speak up. And the only question that is stupid is the one that you didn't ask.
Love that. You want to just go down the line, Alicia?
Yeah. Mine is always over-prepare. You can see I'm the only one with like the nerdy notes that I print out. But I find that it's the way that makes me more comfortable. And I think it's also, a sign of respect for the person across the table from you. And I always want to make sure that like I've thought through 18 ways of what the person's going to ask. And I feel like over-preparing for every meeting is really the way to be prepared for anything nowadays.
I think mine would be you always deserve to work for a company or an environment where you can bring in your soul and your values. And if your values don't match your company values, you should find a company that does. To be able to do that, you have to network your little heart out and be very competent at what you do. But as you grow in your career, you're in control. And if you don't feel like the company you work with embraces your soul, you should go somewhere else.
You guys just nailed it with 2 seconds. Thank you so much for joining this panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.